This is Meet the Movie Press. It is Friday, July 5th, 2019. On the show this week, Little Mermaid casting, LAOFCS Mid-Season Awards, Sun's Out, Knives Out, and Elgort Presley, plus Midsommar and Spider-Man box office, and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
It's time to Meet the Movie Press. It is Friday, July 5th, 2019. Hello, my name is Simon Thompson. You can find me on social media at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter, and you can see my work from Forbes and beyond. With me this week, Demetri and Scott. Demetri, who are you? Where can we find you?
Right here on Popcorn Talks Meet the Movie Press and on the Twitters at Demetri Panos.
Scott Menzel.
You can find me right here, and then also on Twitter and Instagram at TheOtherScottM and WeLiveEntertainment.com.
Thank you so much. Now, for the week that appears to be a 3-day, because everybody appears to have stopped working at Wednesday lunchtime this week. It's actually been a pretty busy movie week. Now, we're going to get to the movie news in just a second, but first of all, I want to say a happy Independence Day to everybody here. Sorry about the invasion. Still a bit of a sore topic. Absolutely. But I just want to say, without us all, we would not be able to celebrate that day.
No.
And without you, we would not have a show. So if you want to take part in the show, you need to be in the chat room if you're watching us live on YouTube. If not, maybe you could do it next week. We really appreciate it. In the chat already this morning, Anthony Benzano in Florida. Hello, Anthony. How are you? Film Nerd Jamie. Good morning, all. Good morning, Film Nerd Jamie. Kane Egan is in there. Good morning, Kane. Blackrock316, another regular, is in there. Good morning, Westy Kid. Hi, people. Hello, Westy Kid. And hello, Zeno Hour. Happy 4th of July to you all. A day late, but that doesn't matter. Okay, guys, let's start talking about... before we talk about this, I am very well aware that we are three white guys.
Yes.
But we have to talk about this, because it's been the story that everybody has been talking about this week.
About us?
No. On the film Twitter and
White
outside
guys.
of film Twitter. Little Mermaid casting. Now, this started earlier in the week when Ursula was the first bit of sort of major casting that came through. Melissa McCarthy. A lot of people were like, why are you giving this to Melissa McCarthy? Why didn't you give it to someone like Lizzo? If you don't know who Lizzo is a very popular music artist at the moment, who is a larger woman, a woman of color, and people are saying she would be great for it. I think, actually, it's a good suggestion.
Yes.
Also, then we had announcements of casting of Jacob Tremblay and Aquafina. Aquafina is going to be the gull, and Flounder is going to be voiced by Jacob Tremblay. Okay, that was pretty innocuous. Now, there was some casting that came through then, literally about 24 hours later, with the casting of Ariel. Mm-hmm. And the controversy over that, or the perceived controversy over that, was the fact that it's Halle Bailey. Some outlets said Halle Berry. It is not Halle Berry, it is Halle Bailey.
Right.
A young black actress who's cast in the role of Ariel. A lot of people got upset about this because they said that Ariel, in the original Disney animated movie, which this new Little Mermaid is going to be a remake of, Ariel was white with red hair. A lot of people pointed out that also Ariel and mermaids are not real, and if in Hans Christian Andersen's original book, she would have been green, and also mermaids, if they were, these mythical beasts were around, they would have been from a part of the world like Syria, where they would not have been white. So there's a lot to discuss here. First of all, let's talk about the casting in general. Let's start with Ursula, the Sea Witch. Melissa McCarthy, not someone who I would have initially thought of, but actually, I mean, I think she'd be a good job, but I think also Lizzo, who has not done acting before, could be interesting because she has a great voice. So discuss this, guys.
I got no problem with Melissa McCarthy, and I for sure have, actually, with no problem with anybody they've cast. I was actually at Disney when this news came out.
Right, okay.
The first thing I said was, who the hell is she? Like, it wasn't about color. I just had no idea who she was. And I was like...
A lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people don't. She has had success as a music artist and also as an actor in a number of TV shows and movies. But she's not a very well-known talent at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't go on like what her color was. I just didn't know who she was. And then I was like, this is brilliant. I go, number one, it's ballsy and risky for Disney to do. It's a bold casting choice. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine. She seems perfect. She has a charm just from the photos I've seen. She seems very charming. I'm all in. I like it when they go with the fresh face and they didn't go with somebody that I recognize. So
it's something we often talk about on the show, is the fact that sometimes when we see casting in Hollywood, we get the same names coming up, and I think that point is actually really, really good. Scott, your thoughts on this?
I'm just more bummed that Rob Marshall's directing it more than anything
Okay.
else. That's really what bothers me. I mean, and also the fact of how like just completely unnecessary this is, and like I'm just starting to feel like with The Lion King coming out like in 2 weeks, I'm really just starting to feel this burn of this, and this is weird coming from me because I've enjoyed Dumbo a lot more than a lot of other people. I think I enjoyed Aladdin much more than other people, but I'm just, the Lion King thing is starting to kind of, feel like I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. And then this is just a weird situation for me because I understand what Disney's doing, and it's like for a new generation, and I love the fact that they've kind of picked a relatively unknown to most masses who this girl is, but someone who has been in their TV world.
Yeah.
I think I have more problems with the casting of Aquafina and Jacob Tremblay.
Interesting.
I think Jacob Tremblay is like such an obvious choice, and it's kind of like, who's the hottest kid actor right now? Let's pick him. And then Aquafina too. It's just like kind of like the studios. We talk about this with a lot of people who are very funny and in the now. I'm very worried about them burning out Aquafina, and the fact that like they have her in this kind of movie. Again, it just seems like such an obvious grab. And
do you know who I thought they were going to cast as the gull?
Who?
I thought they were going to give it to Tiffany Haddish. Because Tiffany Haddish appears to be another of these people right now who is the go-to for characters with sass.
Yeah.
And characters with a little bit of back talk.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting because thinking about what you said and then what Demetri said about Ursula, the obvious choice of Ursula would be to cast someone of color, right? So they're kind of doing this role reversal thing with this movie by actually having Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, and then having Ariel as a completely like, oh my God, this is not my Ariel kind of hashtag that was trending all last night.
But they even look at it as obvious choice. Like, I don't like, why is it an obvious choice to go with the person of color? That I guess is what
because it just became ingrained in our society, and the way that people look at things nowadays is that they look at the history of what was given to them and they say, okay, this is what I expect. I mean, the character itself had a darker color in the animated movie,
but it wasn't like even a real human color.
No, I know.
I know. It was an octopus.
I know.
But neither was the genie in Aladdin.
Right.
True. I just don't. I guess I'm not. Again, just saying, why is it an obvious choice to go with a person of color? Like, you go with who you believe is going to be good at the voice and carry it off. And when I think of Aquafina, the original Seagull was played by Buddy Hackett, right?
Yep.
So he has a delivery of lines, and I think Aquafina can, I don't want to say mimic it, but she can deliver it in a similar fashion. So far I'm okay with the cast.
Well, there was a production of The Little Mermaid at the Hollywood Bowl a couple of months ago.
Yes.
They've done it previously, and this year Harvey Fierstein returned in the role of Ursula. And he's a man.
Yes,
he's
he
a
is.
fat, white, Jewish guy.
Fat, white, Jewish, gay guy.
Gay guy.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, but he's also not.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, ultimately for me, I don't care.
Listen. You had a problem. The person that he's mentioning that people want in the movie is a black woman.
Right.
Okay. And I think what it is when you listen to the voice in the original movie,
right,
and the singing, it's soulful.
It is very soulful.
So essentially, it
makes sense.
When I think about it, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
So like when you look at it, and then you look at Ariel, where it's a very light, like Taylor Swift type voice.
Yeah.
La 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 la. You know, like it just.
But also, I am
spinning it on its head.
not going to see. If I see, I mean, I probably will. The Little Mermaid.
We're all gonna see it. Let's just be honest.
Whoever the color or the sex of the people playing the characters, make absolutely no difference to me whether I go and see this movie. I literally don't care. I honestly don't care. It's like I'm going to see the movie because I want to see the movie. I'm being paid to see the movie by an outlet to cover it. But I'm not going to see it, and I certainly won't not go and see it because of the color of somebody's skin. I honestly have bigger things to worry about in my life than if there's a black mermaid.
And what people don't understand, I'm real quick. Just what bothers me is that all this shit is fictional. You can do whatever, like whatever they want. If they want to make it like a green person, an alien, whoever, if Ariel's an alien this time around, she can be an alien.
But you know what?
It doesn't matter.
We've had this before, and we're going to continue to have it. I remember it with Hermione when they did the stage show of the new Harry Potter stage show, Curious Child, and people were like, "Oh my God, Hermione's black." It's like, okay, it doesn't. She's still Hermione.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's still
let it stand on its own.
This is not a documentary. This is not a factual representation. Let's see what people are talking about in the chat room. Then we need to move on from this. From Mark Jason saying, Mark Jason Ali, good morning, saying hi. Hope you enjoyed the July 4th. Yes, did. Thank you so much. But I'm only 3 episodes into Stranger Things 3, so please don't spoil that.
No,
for me.
please don't.
Film nerd Jamie, honestly, this is the only way to garner interest in Little Mermaid. I don't give a shit about a black Ariel. I do give a shit that it's Rob Marshall directing, which is a real issue here. So again, kind of echoing your points here. Like I say, I have nothing against Rob Marshall. Rob Marshall has done a number of really good movies, but I did not enjoy Mary Poppins Returns. I really did not enjoy Mary Poppins Returns. So I'm a little bit concerned from that point of view. But I will still, because it's what I do.
What worries me about it is the fact that
and Rob's a nice guy.
He's a
really
lovely
nice guy.
guy.
So there's not slagging off
Rob.
Rob.
He's very passionate and he's very energetic
and worked really hard on it.
And he loves what he does. But it's just like it's like I'm so worried, and it's like him and Lin-Manuel are working together again, and I'm just like the music sucked in that movie.
Yeah.
And it was just like a lazy rehash.
I'm the only one who really liked it.
I know. Talking about Halle Bailey, Jenna James. I know she's a part of Beyonce's record label or whatever, and she's on Freeform Grownish, which is perfect for the audience of The Little Mermaid. There'll be older people who go and see it, but really, this is for younger people, younger women, especially. I think not exclusively women. I like The Little Mermaid, and I'm a guy.
Beautiful film.
I loved it when it first came out, but it's like it's for everybody. But there is a target audience. Don't see many men dressed up as Ariel in Disneyland.
No.
Well, once or twice.
I'm going this week.
But only because I'm not going as Ariel this week. Otherwise, I would have to go as Ursula. Zafira saying, I think she debuted as a singer only a couple of years ago. Yes, she did. She was discovered on YouTube, and then she became very successful. Every time I hear Rob Marshall, I start to sweat. That's from Harris. Hugh Jennings. So, Disney scaling new heights under the sea. Interesting, Hugh. The play on words. Jenna James. My sister's told me she's been doing music for a while, even before Beyonce discovered her and her sister. Yes. Halle actually started on YouTube, as I said. Carney Egan. I think Melissa McCarthy's Ursula is a perfect pick, and I think people need to get over their own personal prejudices as to whether a character has to be black or white. The majority of characters, you could put a black or a white or an Asian or whatever actor in. Their ethnicity, their sexuality, their sex is completely... I talk to screenwriter friends about this all the time. So many people you can put in a movie. It does not matter what their colour is or their sexual orientation. It's completely irrelevant to the storyline. Completely irrelevant. Anthony Manzano. Simon, can you please put the phone number in the chat? We're not going to be doing calls today, Anthony. So we're going to be doing that in a couple of weeks, though. I will let you know when we're going to be doing that. Zeno Hour. Simon, how widespread were the complaints? Because I saw everybody responding to the same few tweets. Which one of them was a bot? Yes, one of those... Well, actually, there are a couple of those that turned out to be bots. Maybe the internet needs to stop amplifying trolls. I think, Zeno, that is a very valid point. However, when these points are raised, they do need to be discussed. because it's really important dialogue generally. Westy Kid, I think Halle Bailey got cast as Ariel because her voice sounds like an angel, and she has a 30s to 40s voice. She also has, and I know she's very young, and I don't mean this to sound appropriate, she has a very classic, very beautiful look. A very Disney princess look about her as a human being. I think if you're looking at the physicality of people for these roles, I think actually, and completely ignoring skin color, I think they're physically are good representations of these characters. If you look at them, you can go, yeah, I can see as Flounder. Yeah, I can see as a gull. Yeah, I can see as Ursula. Yeah. And for some people, that optical association is more important than the color of the skin.
Yes.
Or even the sex, as we saw with Harvey Fierstein. Okay, we're going to move on from this. Thank you for your input on Little Mermaid. It's really, really important to have this as well. Thank you so much indeed. Okay, let's move on to the next thing, which I want you to take the lead on this, Scott. LAOFCS, the LA Online Film Critics Society, full disclosure, of which we are all a member, and it is a group that you head. Mid-Season Awards came out this week.
Right.
First time that we've had a chance to vote in this year's year.
Awesome.
Okay, you take the lead on this, Scott, and run us through a few of the main runners and riders and winners.
Okay, so essentially what we wind up doing at the LAOFCS is most film critic organizations just kind of come out around award season, which is at the end of the year, typically around about early mid-September, and run all the way until about the Oscar time, which is about March. What we decided to do is we tried to bring awareness to film pretty much throughout the year, which is why we do LAOFCS Weekly. And then we were also, thinking about what else can we do to kind of really, make a dent and kind of look back at the movies. One of the things that we've always discussed, and it's been a big conversation in the industry in general, is how films that come out in the first half of the year, come award season, usually either get overlooked or snubbed, or some of them manage to go all the way. So what we decided to do last year was the first year that we did it, was we recreated a mid-season awards. Now, this one does not have as many categories as our main award ceremony at the end of the year.
Yep.
But it actually has about 10 to 12 awards. This year we moved it from 10 to 12, adding a couple new categories, one of which is Best Streaming, because streaming has become such a big thing now.
Very much so.
So we wanted to incorporate movies as well as television with that, because a lot of these things are like limited series and original ideas. And it was very interesting because when the nominations came out, a lot of movies, I felt like a lot of really smaller movies were very overlooked, and Simon, we talked about it, and Demetri, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Films like Hotel Mumbai didn't even get nominated at all, and that was something that I thought was going to be a shoo-in to get into multiple categories.
A movie that everyone I know has seen has said great things about.
Right. And nowhere to be found in the actual nominations or the winners. And I think the most interesting aspect of the winners was it goes to show how the movies this year just weren't that appealing, not only to audiences going to the box office and going to the theater, I should say, not the box office, but going to the theater, but how we collectively as a group pretty much picked 3 movies for almost all of the categories.
A couple of outsiders, the odd runner and rider, everybody had a little additional favorite, but those core 3 were there.
Yeah, and I mean, and the ones that kind of took the lead very often in this was, of course, Jordan Peele's Us, Dexter Fletcher's Rocket Man, and Olivia Wilde's Booksmart. Which you all know, anyone who's listened to this show or listened to LAOFCS Weekly, we are all very big fans of Booksmart, 100%, and you heard us go on how much we love Rocket Man for freaking 35 minutes, that one episode. So what I thought was really awesome about this, so just to kind of go through some of it, so our best picture went to Booksmart, runner-up was Rocket Man, again, see what I'm saying in there. The mid-season best actor was Taron Egerton for Rocket Man. Again, I feel like that was a no-brainer whatsoever.
Yeah.
The more interesting one for this was actually the runner-up actually being Robert Downey Jr. I don't know how that's going to play actual award season when it comes to the end, but I thought that was interesting. Lupita Nyong'o for Us won Best Actress, and then runner-up was Beanie Feldstein, which there is an interesting...
I was surprised by that one.
were you?
I was quite surprised by that one.
And she was a far lead. Almost like 60% of the votes went to Lupita.
Interesting.
And I think what the problem is, and we were a few people in LAOFCS approached me like privately about it, was it's the idea of Caitlin Deaver and Beanie Feldstein actually needing that kind of combined nomination in order to win it.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is that you're playing against those two, and they kind of wipe each other out. It's very reminiscent of the Emma Stone and the Rachel Weisz
Really good
scenario
example.
from The Favorite,
Really good example.
where like they kind of don't really work if they don't
you
have.
cancel one another out.
They cancel each other out.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing, and we were bringing it up, in the group, and everyone kind of like naysayed it very quickly of like combining them. So we didn't wind up doing it, but I think that's a big fear. If Booksmart's going to try to have an awards campaign this year, I think they would benefit kind of trying to put one in Best Supporting and one in Best Actress.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to actually be a thing. And then just a couple other real quick ones. Best Supporting Actor, Jamie Bell won for Rocket Man. And then the runner-up for this I thought was interesting, but one that I actually kind of agree with is Ben Mendelsohn for Captain Marvel, because I thought he was really a highlight in that movie.
Which I agree, a highlight in the movie, but for some reason didn't occur to me.
I think I voted for him. Yeah,
Interesting when I put my nominations in.
It was tough. It
was really tough. I mean, because this year, the first half of this year, there have been a lot of movies out, but a lot of them have just been. There's been a lot more like middling, and very few that are like there's something exceptional about them. And that's not to say that the majority of movies have been bad. There have been a lot of bad movies, perhaps more in the first half of the year than I can remember. But it's getting those top ones, the ones that really go above and really move the art forward in some way.
Yeah.
That was just like I was genuinely struggling. And there's some that actually that were nominated that I forgot about or missed. That actually I'm like, actually that's better. But it's a really interesting list this year.
Yeah, and then of course Billie Lourd won for Best Supporting Actress,
which again I forgot for Booksmart, even though at the time,
really?
Yeah, genuinely, I was thinking, oh my god, and it was really for me that movie was still so much about the two leads, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, fuck, how could I forget that?
Yeah, the one thing that I thought was very special about this, especially this year, and just kind of about the organization as a whole, is this was the second time we did this, and we focused very heavily on social media this year. And social media, just for anyone who's kind of like looking at starting organizations, way to promote, social media is the way to go.
Yeah.
And it's very important to kind of have clear hashtags, and the studios and the talent really embrace this. I mean, I was shocked when Olivia Wilde went through every single one of the awards that she won, and even one where they didn't win, and actually went through it and were like, congratulations, and like actually wrote a unique tweet for every single one.
Yep.
Taron Egerton, who is never on Twitter,
Never.
randomly came out.
He doesn't like Twitter.
And no, he randomly came out and retweeted and thanked us for the nomination, the win. And Jamie Bell. And I thought it was fantastic. Jordan Peele, I think, liked a couple of the tweets. So, like, I love the fact that this organization, it's bringing awareness to not only film, but also the group of critics that we are. And I think it's great that, like, so many people have really started supporting this organization, because this is truly, like, a grassroots organization. Like, we don't have... not saying that it's not going to happen probably in the next year or two, but so far we have never had like corporate backing or any funding whatsoever from like any major like company. It's literally like from the ground up, and it's been hard, and it's like all those images, I made them, and like, the tweets were like shared by our members, and people promoted it like all from within. It had no studio involvement whatsoever in promoting and the advertising of this group. So
I think the award that I'm most looking forward to being handed out this year is the Robert Downey Jr. Disney Iron Man Award.
Yes.
For Best Supporting Actor. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Me too.
Being the show.
I didn't even know it was a category. But
Yeah, it's a thing. We buy millions for that. Millions. Millions of dollars.
Millions of bucks.
Seriously, it's made me more excited for the second half of the year because now we've whittled that down.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see how that changes in the next 6 months when we come to doing the awards. And I get to vote in a number of awards this year. I'm very, very lucky to be able to vote in the LAOFCS. I also, like you, get to vote in the Critics' Choice. And I also get to contribute to the BAFTAs this year, which is incredible. So I have a lot of movies to catch up on.
Oh, yeah.
I swear to God I'm going to watch Hotel Mumbai.
Yeah, you have
I swear to God I'm going to watch
have
that
to.
movie.
it might be on demand, actually.
Yeah, it is available on streaming at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and find some time. It's just I crazy busy on some projects right now, but I will get around to that. Before we move on, Scott, thank you so much for that,
Yeah,
for
no
running us
problem.
through that. I mean, it's a really good thing this year, and I'm really looking forward to the end of the year. Going back to Little Mermaid very briefly before we go on to the next thing, Zeno Hour. I'm indifferent about this Little Mermaid adaptation, but I'm all for this casting. Film nerd Jamie, Ari Aster's The Little Mermaid. That is what I want. Someone else suggested Lars von Trier's Little Mermaid. A KCOG saying, I know Melissa McCarthy is cast, but Titus Burgess would have been awesome. Yes, Titus Burgess would have been absolutely great. A really good suggestion there. Jodie Petrella saying, Simon, when Zendaya was rumoured, Zendaya is Michi, by the way, was rumoured to be cast as Ariel, no one had a problem. This girl gets cast, and people are sending her hate comments on Twitter. I have no problem with this casting. No, I think this casting is really interesting, and I think it's a really good choice. I don't think some people have said it's social justice warrior style stuff from Disney. No, I disagree with that. KCOG agreeing with Jodie. I'm excited for adaptations of additional diverse stories. I mentioned as a new one Saturday later. Cat Yellow Ranger. It's not the first time they made a traditionally European princess black. Brandy was Cinderella, absolutely. And also, when we're talking about this, mentioned earlier, and I just wanted to pick up on this in case anybody misconstrues my comments. I said that I don't care, and we don't care about really who is cast. I do, however, I realise that Little Mermaid being cast is not particularly personally important to me. There are a lot of people out there who feel that they are fans of The Little Mermaid, whether they're white or black or Asian or whatever, who will garner something from seeing. Nobody will lose out on The Little Mermaid. No. Everybody will benefit from a new Little Mermaid, but there will be a large audience of non-white audience members, girls and boys, who will appreciate seeing a further representation. And it's not a social justice warrior, but it's like we don't have to worry about this because we're white. Because there are a lot of these characters who just are white. Yeah. And I know that it will, while it might not matter to us, there are people that it will matter to. And it's not about making it an issue, but it is about also being able to see themselves on screen. Something it's never bothered me, the colour of somebody on screen, but it's never really mattered to me, the colour of somebody on screen. And I know there are billions of people for whom that does make a difference every day. Sure. So I lose nothing by having a black Ariel. A lot of people gain from having a black Ariel, and I'm fine with that.
I just want it to be good.
Yeah.
And
quality is key over everything else in Hollywood. You can put all the rainbow of faces on a movie, but if the movie is not good, nobody wins.
No.
Nobody wins. The companies don't win, the audiences don't win, the talent don't win. Quality is key. Okay, talking about that, someone would say we have the Knives Out today.
What a segue.
So let's move on to one of the trailers. I'm not a massive person for trailers. I do watch them for the show, but I tend to watch them and leave and wait till the movie. Knives Out dropped earlier this week. Rian Johnson's new movie. We're calling it Star Wars Knives Out.
Yeah.
I deliberately didn't engage with this movie a huge amount when it was being made. But seeing the trailer and seeing the cast, I am so excited about this movie. And there are two movies now that are influenced by one of my favorite movies of all time, I think, in style, and that is Clue.
Yep.
There is Ready or Not, and now there is Knives Out, which have that similar whodunit with a little bit of a tongue-in-the-cheek element to it. Fuck yeah, is what I say. Knives Out, you guys have seen the trailer as well. Okay, let's start with Demetri on this one. Demetri, your thoughts on this trailer?
I really enjoyed the trailer. Jamie Lee Curtis was at CinemaCon earlier this year. I I thought that the footage she showed at CinemaCon was even better.
Yeah.
Than what was portrayed in the trailer. So I was already pumped for this movie. So I was looking forward to this movie before Ready or Not. And when Ready or Not trailer came on, I was like going, wow, it's like Knives Out. I want to know how Lionsgate's going to try to get out of the way of that. Because right from trailer to trailer, there is almost a similarity that somebody has to try to like say we're not that movie in one way, shape, or form. But I can't wait for Knives Out.
They're gonna put Knives Out at TIFF. That's how they're gonna make that different. They're gonna put that at Toronto. It's gonna either be the opening night of the Midnight Madness, or it's gonna be a special programming or something. That I can tell you. That being said, with this movie itself, I'm sorry, Demetri. This is why I like Johnson as a director. Like when I watch this trailer, I'm kind of like, oh, could you please stop making Star Wars movies and go back to making movies like this?
Yeah.
Because this movie, like we saw that footage at CinemaCon and I leaned over to him. I'm like, I am down for this movie so hard. Like it's like this, it just, the cast doesn't look like it belongs together, but somehow they like all play off one another perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, even Lakeith Stanfield being in the middle of all this, it just works. And I love the comedy aspect of it, but I also love that they're doing like the Clue aspect of it as well. And it just looks like such a fun time. And I hope it lives up to the expectations.
Why were you apologizing to?
Oh, because I am so not on board with him doing Star Wars. I want him to fucking drop that.
Well,
I really don't want it.
Who?
Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson.
Oh, I got nothing. Oh, I got no.
Well, I mean,
I said John Cena.
No. John Cena, he can stop doing movies in general, but that's my opinion on that.
I mean, you guys have basically picked up on kind of everything that I was going to say. But this movie, it's just, there's a lot of movies out there that you just feel like you're seeing the same thing on a variation on a theme, or even a variation within a genre. And within a genre, you can have, there's a huge scape for different types of movies. But I just feel a lot of movies are getting closer and closer and closer together. And a lot of movies are not, there's no breath of fresh air. Well, there's very rarely a breath of fresh air. Every now and again, we have one maybe twice or three times a year. This, to me, really feels like towards, especially going into awards season for Thanksgiving, so often at this time of year, it's like, dun, 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 award stuff, dun, 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 family movies for the holidays, dun, 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 awards. And this feels like, here is something that is worthy, potentially, of awards nomination. I could see potentially that kind of thing happening. But also a movie that is completely different. This is a dark sorbet with a little bit of pepper in there that I think is really gonna, if this meal of cinema, and you just pop this on your tongue, you're like, oh shit, this is good. It genuinely, I was watching it, there's not often I see trailers where I'm like, oh, that makes my hair stand on end, or gives me goosebumps, or moves me in some way. This is one of the few trailers I've seen this year where I'm like, this is a movie I would pay to see.
Yeah.
This is a movie I want to see probably more than once. When you watch a movie, and when I saw Get Out for the first time, I loved Get Out, and it's still my favorite Jordan Peele movie. And then I watched, once you know what happens in Get Out, then you watch it again, and you're like, aha, here we go. But however, I mean, as much as I like Ryan Johnson, and as much as I'm looking forward to Knives Out, the minute that movie hits its first screening, I'm going to have to start a GoFundMe campaign to ask for it to be remade.
Yeah.
Before you see it,
no, before I've seen it, of course, because
then I'm in.
Okay,
I'll give you what I have in my wallet.
It's always more important when you haven't seen the movie to be really upset by it.
Yes.
To then start a campaign to get the whole thing remade. So I trust I have your backing.
Yeah, you already
100%.
You just Venmo'd me. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant. Sorry, Ryan, it's nothing personal, but this is the way it goes now.
Yes.
This is the way it goes now.
And I have to say, I know you keep on referencing Clue, but Clue is just a remake of what, in my mind, and I own Clue and I like Clue, but it ain't Murder by Death. Murder by
Another
Death.
great movie. Another great movie. But Clue, let's not forget that Clue, which is a great movie, was not a hit when it came out. Nobody appreciated it. Brian Lynch, who wrote a number of the Minions movies, and he wrote Secret Life of Pets, a number of other things for Illumination. This week, he experienced the Clue sort of thing for the first time, and absolutely loved it. I don't know how Brian, seriously, dude, I have no idea how he has not managed to see this movie in these years. He's a really, really nice guy. Not that being nice has anything to do with not seeing Clue. But seriously, he loved it. And pointed out the fact that it would be I think it was Brian who mentioned this, it would be really good if somebody did a Broadway show of Clue, and every single performance, you got a different ending.
Oh, yeah.
I like that idea.
I like that idea, too.
I like it a lot. Okay, chats in this Zeno hour saying Scott Menzel versus John Cena at WrestleMania. Let's make it happen. Kame Egan Knives Out looks...
I lose.
Everybody loses. Kame Egan Knives Out looks hysterical, and I have to say, language cap. Also, can I just say, it's great to see Daniel Craig in a non-Bond movie that actually looks good.
Yes.
I thought he was great in Logan Lucky.
Yeah, but nobody saw Logan Lucky.
That's their fault.
That is true.
I mean, it's a really good movie.
It is available on Amazon Prime, though, if you do want to watch that. Jenna James, lol. Xeno Hour, I want Ryan Johnson to do all of the Star Wars just to see the trolls explode.
I like that. I like that.
I would back that on GoFundMe. Go fund myself. Zafira, lol, at Simon. Xeno Hour, thank you. I get that a lot, usually when I'm naked. Xeno Hour, release the Snyder Cut of Knives Out.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. It doesn't exist.
Okay, let's talk about it. Ansel Elgort, Miles Teller, Harry Styles, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Austin Butler. No, they weren't all but guests at my July the 4th barbecue. They are in the running to play Elvis Presley for Baz Luhrmann. G'day, mate. So Ansel Elgort, Miles Teller, Harry Styles, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Austin Butler in the run to play Elvis. I could see Elgort Presley quite easily out of all of those people. Miles Teller, obviously a regular in the chat. We know that.
Yes.
Good to have you watching the show every week, Miles. Thank you so much. So, guys, thoughts on this? I mean, these are obviously names around. Ansel we know. Miles we know. Harry Styles was good in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson is a good actor that sometimes is not given the right material. Austin Butler, not particularly familiar with. Your thoughts on these ideas for Elvis? Tom Hanks, by the way, has already been cast as the Colonel, who is basically his manager. Scott on this one.
Let's go with the guy who's unknown. Just for yucks. I think when you're playing someone who's so iconic like Elvis, and since we've gone the route the last couple of years of picking very well-known actors to play these biopic movies, I think I would like to see more of an unknown in the role. I mean, I think every single one of these guys could bring something unique to the project. I just would like to see that star in the making kind of performance, as opposed to seeing someone like, where we can compare him. Oh, he was good in this movie. Oh, he was good in Whiplash, but he's even better here. I think having a chance to kind of really boost someone's star is the way they should go for something like this.
Interesting. I mean, I can get on board with that. Dimitri, your
No,
thoughts?
I mean, that's what I was talking about. Little Mermaid, you go with somebody, do that. It's the Richard Donner Superman theory.
Yeah.
Cast an unknown, and people won't have that dispersion and go, oh, look, it's so-and-so playing Elvis. I like going with an unknown, but I also like Ansel Elgort.
If I had to pick one,
and I say him because, too, he's like on the cusp. People can recognize him, but I don't think he's on that cusp of that star status. A movie like this could. And how you are with Rob Marshall, I'm the same with Baz Luhrmann. When I hear that name, it kind of gives me...
Baz Luhrmann, some of his movies I've really liked, and some of them I haven't liked. You see, this is something that people also go, when we talk about movies, they're like, I love all the films by this director! Directors don't like all the movies that they've directed. Actors don't like all the movies that they've been. I had a conversation the other day with, not the world's biggest star, but Corbin Bernsen, and he was talking about movies and things that he's done, and he doesn't like them. Every single time I talk to a director, you know this as well, you do this on a regular basis. When you talk about certain things to actors, actresses, directors, producers, writers, they've done movies that they don't necessarily like. So when we say we don't like all of Baz Luhrmann's work, we're not being a shit about it. Baz Luhrmann knows that not all of his movies are great. Hey, Australia, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible movie. Seriously. There are only a handful of movies that I prayed for death while watching. Australia is one of them. However, I did get a lovely leather satchel out of the junket,
Oh, very nice.
which proved to be very, very helpful.
That one had Hugh Jackman in it, too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Hugh Jackman...
Jackman and
as
Nicole
much as,
Kidman, right?
As much as I love Hugh
Great
Jackman,
cast.
he's had some stinkers.
He's had lots of stinkers.
Yeah, I mean...
Law of averages
Stinky
catches
boo-boo.
up with you. It just happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, out of all of them, Ansel Elgort is the one that I think would
You would
be
pick, yeah.
Ansel, or I think Harry Styles. But to be honest with you, I'm very on board with the idea of this being an Elvis movie, but the name is Tom Hanks and then the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's a movie about Elvis, I think just having Tom Hanks in there would be, is enough to kind of get the attention, even if he's second fiddle. And I do think it's sometimes, and we've said this on the show before, when you have a character that is so iconic, it is nice to have someone you're not distracted by the star power. It's not someone doing, someone high level doing an impression. And I think it's actually quite nice to have that freeing element of doing it. And Ansel, I think, could do the Elvis look.
Yeah.
But while not going like he's doing an impression very, very well. In the same way that Rami Malek, I think, did Freddie Mercury in Bohemian
I watched
Tarantino-
Bohemian Rhapsody last night again, and I'm sorry. Like, I know the movie gets a lot of shit. I mean, just...
Tremendous,
He
man.
is just so good in that movie. Like, I know he's not singing like, Taron is singing in Rocket Man, but the look at some points when he's, like, performing and some of the... Oh, my God. Like, you forget you're watching him. Like...
Yeah.
I got to give that movie kudos. I still got goosebumps watching it last night.
You pick an actor that you don't necessarily think could play that role. I mean, Kurt Russell played that role in John Carpenter's television movie of Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody would have thought at that time that he could play Elvis. So, Bruce Campbell has played Elvis.
Yeah.
And Bubba
Hotep, yeah.
Westy Kid, Aaron Taylor Johnson played a young John Lennon. That is true. Senor Nerd, isn't Harry Styles rumoured for Eric in Little Mermaid? I don't know. Westy Kid, Zafira, laughing at Zafira, who said, are you going to delve into the Priscilla Presley stuff? She was young when they met. I don't know. Zeno Hour, it's unclear exactly is the correct response there. Janet James, not really interested in the film, knowing what I know of Elvis. Daryl, not interested in an Elvis movie. Is the ending going to have him on a toilet? He died on a toilet. Yeah, I do not know, but spoiler. In case you weren't aware, spoiler. Any other actor recommendations for Elvis coming through in Popcorn Talk? To be honest with you, actually, I think for a short list of actors, this is pretty good. Although I'm just going to say, Halle Bailey, just, to make it topical.
She'd make a great
Zendaya.
Elvis.
Zendaya.
For Elvis.
I'm going to go with Titus Burgess.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of other stories I want to touch on that have come through this week. I'm just kidding. What? What have they done to
Popcorn
Elvis?
Talk, actually. Halle Bailey. Yes. yes.
Let's talk about some other stories that
Justice
happened
for
this week.
Zendaya.
Justice for Zendaya. Zendaya is Michi. The It filmmaker Anthony Muschietti is in talks to take over as the Flash director. John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein have exited. Guys, your thoughts on this week? I don't know if we're going to see a Flash movie before I die.
Yeah, but I really want this. But I really want this Flash movie to happen because I loved him in this role.
Yeah.
And I love Ezra Miller. I really, he's like one of the few celebrities who's like not afraid to freaking tell it like it is. I mean, we were in a Fantastic Beasts press day, and people were asking him all the dumb, spoilery questions. And like the way that he responded to press, like I literally went over to him. I'm like, you have to be like one of my favorite interview people now, because he was just like mocking them, and it was so fucking brilliant. It's like, you think I can tell you that? He's like, you'd be better off asking me who painted that painting over there. Like I don't know who the fuck did that either.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just really appreciate that. But this Flash movie, I don't know what the freak is going on with it, because like I think everyone's in agreement, as much as everyone has different opinions on Justice League. I think everyone really liked the Flash as a character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are they taking so long to get this movie made? And those other guys were the guys who did Game Night. And I remember at the press day for Game Night, they were talking about how they were excited about doing it. And then wasn't it before then? It was the guy who did Dope.
Yes. This has been through a lot of hands.
And it's just like weird, but it's nice knowing that Ezra Miller is still involved, because I think if he walked away from it, I think I would lose a lot of interest.
But I think with Ezra Miller won't be around forever. I think there'll come a point where, like with movies like The Crow, where he'll go, okay, if this bus isn't going to the destination, I'm just going to get off early, and I'm going to get on a different bus. Buses, bussing. I think I don't think Ezra Miller is going to want to stay on this train.
No.
And especially the more hands that it goes through, the less it kind of gets a little bit. You get a lot of fingerprints on this, and then you have a little bit of history, and then you kind of don't know if you want to still be that thing.
Well, at least
so I don't know.
Film 3/4 of the movie and then decide to fire the people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's not a bad choice for directing. I was reading some articles going, why a horror director is great for comic book movies.
Why not?
Like
Shazam?
I was going to say Shazam.
But I was like, what's the big deal? Like, how about any good director direct?
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, in fact, in this, Ashley Menzel has just said they should have David F. Sandberg do Flash because it needs the tone of Shazam. Really good example. Yeah. Harris, remember that Hamada came on board when Daly and Goldstein were already working on it? May have been Hamada's decision. Done with Miller's Flash. Heck, all those guys, let me just go back. All those guys, they're in the running for Elvis and Rizzo the past couple of months. They could replace him if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that I agree with Ashley on this. That I genuinely think, and I agree with you on this, that David should do this. Zeno, I was saying, I look forward to Goldstein and Daly's take on The Flash. However, Andy and Christina Hodson are a more intriguing, creative team. Might be an upgrade, ? Demetri, do you think creativity and vision is going to be the key to making this movie a success? Perhaps more so than Miller's.
It'll help. I mean, DC is also in a major transition. And it's clear that they have no idea where they exactly want to go.
Yeah.
And to our point about Ezra Miller, the mere fact that he is still on board, is showing that he at least has faith in the character. So at this point, Warner Brothers and DC has to have faith in him and get the show on the road. And I think the directors that they picked are really solid. Let's make a good Flash movie that can have. I think they should be using Shazam, which is their property. They should be kind of using that as their model, and that's how you can make a good Flash movie.
Yeah.
Don't make it dark. Make it red. He's the crimson. I forget. Make it so that it's good, entertaining. Ezra Miller already proved that he can be funny in the role, and that he's likable. Stay with it.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, Jumanji, the Next Level trailer came out this week. Did you guys get to check this out?
Yes.
This movie, the trailer came out. I kind of expected it. It got a lot of attention very quickly, and then it kind of died out. Your thoughts on the trailer?
Want me to go from?
Yeah, Scott.
I am so excited for this movie. I really, at first, I was kind of like, oh, God, they're really doing this again. And seeing how they change up the story and they added new actors, and seeing Dwayne Johnson do a Danny Glover impression, that is freaking brilliant. I couldn't believe how entertained I was for it. I literally was smiling the entire trailer, and I was like, I can't wait for this movie to be released.
Yeah.
It just, everything, it looks like it was going to be the same gimmick, and that was what I was worried about.
Yeah.
But the changing in voices really makes the movie work.
Yeah.
And I love I love that the movie is already embracing the controversy of Karen Gillan's character.
Yeah.
In the trailer. They already having fun with it. It looks like a blast. And this franchise may keep going. I'm surprised.
Karen Gillan, who's great but horribly underused in Stuber. We will talk about that next week. Dimitri, your thoughts on the trailer?
I wasn't a big fan of Jumanji the movie.
Okay.
So going into this, I was going, all right. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, all right, you hooked me. I'm going to go see them. I'm going to see this movie.
Yeah.
I like the whole role reversal. I enjoy using Danny Glover and Danny DeVito in this. I like what they do because it seems like this is going to be far more comedic, and it looks like the actors are able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And that to me is you even made Kevin Hart not be Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in.
What do you mean?
What do you
Kevin Hart, I mean Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when I saw the first Jumanji trailer, I really thought that movie was going to suck.
Yes.
I really thought it was going to be
Me too.
horrible. Absolutely love Jumanji. This, I'm very, very excited for. Again, I'm not going to watch any more trailers for this movie. I'm done. I'm in. I don't want to remember all the bits in the trailer, but I know this movie's sold for me. A little bit of a missed trick, though. Why didn't they call it Jumanji 3? Jumanji 3, because it's the third one. There's Jumanji,
I don't
Jumanji,
know.
and then Jumanji 3. But that's just me. Yeah, so I'm super psyched for that. Couple of other stories before we get to reviews and box office that I think you might be aware of or you might want to check out this week. News that Robocop Returns will feature the original Robocop suit. That's according to the director, Neil Blomkamp. Rami Malek this week did an interview with the Daily Mirror in the UK on his Bond 25 villain condition. Basically, the one condition he had if he was going to play the villain, and that's no terrorism motive or having it related to religion or ideology. Alien Nation remake. Oh, it's not happening, man.
Again, it's not happening?
That's the latest casualty of the Disney Fox acquisition, Alienation. If you haven't seen that 80s movie, check it out. It is fucking brilliant. And Bill and Ted Face the Music has started shooting in New Orleans, and everybody's spoiling it already with photos of the guys on set. Please don't make me sick of this movie before we actually see it. We're very lucky that it's actually happening.
Yes,
so
we
many
are.
years it didn't look like it was going to happen.
No.
Don't make me fucking bored of this. And also, Keanu should have kept the beard, man. Okay, let's talk about. We talked about Spider-Man last week. We did the review, so we're not going to talk about that from a review point of view. If you want to go and check last week's show, you can do. But Spider-Man Far From Home brought in $39.25 million on Tuesday, marking the largest Tuesday debut of all time. The previous record, I know. Well done, Spidey. Well done, Spidey. You got this, man.
Sony's like, yes,
Yeah,
finally.
fuck. Besting the previous record set by Sony's The Amazing Spider-Man, which was less than amazing. That opened with $137 million over its six-day debut back in July 2012. Despite the performance, Sony is projecting $125 million six-day performance. This is how the weekend is going to look. Spider-Man Far From Home, $80 million. Toy Story 4 in second place, $32.2 million. Yesterday, still around $9.5 million. Annabelle Come Home, Annabelle Come Home, $8.1 million. Like I'm telling a doll off. Annabelle, come home. Stop it. Aladdin in fifth place, $7.8 million. Midsommar, a new entry at $7 million. Followed by Secret Life of Pets 2, Men in Black International, Avengers Endgame, and Rocket Man. I'm a Rocket Man. If you haven't seen that movie, by the way,
You better go this weekend.
you better go this weekend. And seriously, it is a movie worth catching on the big screen. Spider-Man Far From Home, getting some very mixed reactions. Very interesting seeing reactions of the general public who are now getting to see this movie. Generally, I would say favourable, but some people who really do not like this movie. Which is very, very interesting. And some people I'm seeing who absolutely love this movie. So I'm very interested to see what the box office goes. Box office figures, of course, as usual, via boxofficemojo.com. Thank you so much for that. So Spider-Man looks like it's going to own this weekend, guys. The other movie this week really is Midsommar, which is, let's call it niche.
Yeah,
Let's call it niche.
I would say so.
Horror is a broad genre, but certainly Hereditary, the director's previous movie, was not huge. It was niche.
It was niche.
It was niche, as some people say. Okay, now I have not seen this movie. Unfortunately, I could not make any of the screenings. Dimitri, you have not seen this movie. Now, Scott, you are the only person here who has seen this movie this week. So I would love your opinion on this movie.
Would you?
Okay, Midsommar from Scott Menzel.
So
aged 18 and a half.
yes. Initially, when I walked out of this movie, I think I texted Dimitri and I said, I think it's like the worst movie that I've seen all year.
Did that make the poster?
No, it did not.
Okay.
But then what's weird was like I started seeing these other movies like yesterday and Spider-Man's Far From Home. And then I started like looking back at Midsommar and I was like, you know what? At least I like the first half of that movie. And honestly, like it has actually changed my perspective of the movie. This is one of the few times where I've actually watched the movie and then watched a couple movies afterwards, and I constantly thought back about that movie, and I was like, wow, the first half of that movie was actually really good, and then it just kind of meanders and just keeps going and going. For those who don't know what this movie is about, it essentially is a trip. A bunch of guys take a trip. And one of the girlfriends comes along on this trip. Now, the backstory is the girlfriend has some issues that happen in her life. I'm not going to spoil what they are.
Okay.
But she's grieving and she's upset. And the guy that she's dating is kind of little bit of a douche, a little bit absentee, so to speak, where he's just kind of like, yeah, kind of guy. And they go on this little trip to Sweden and during Midsommar. And they're all fascinated by the fact that these people are all bizarre and weird and cult-like.
Where do the ABBA songs come in?
They don't, unfortunately.
Okay.
No. Instead, you get like a bear and some weird sexual acts and then some weird things of suicide, which I should warn. I was actually talking to someone in LAOFCS about this. And movies like this, where they deal very heavily with a suicide theme, really need to have a warning on the movies. I will agree. This girl who I was talking to was very upset about it. And I think it's very important to have that, because I remember when 13 Reasons Why came out, every episode they had that little disclaimer.
Yeah.
And there's some real depictions in this movie that are very, very graphic. Again, maybe it's because, like, if you know Ari Aster's work, you expect some, nothing different from him. The man is deeply troubled. I think if you watch this film and and his previous film Hereditary, he has some dark demons of himself in himself. But this movie, I think, is very much a film lover's movie in terms of being a film aficionado and being a lover of art.
Right.
I don't think that the movie is great. I mean, I've seen the first initial reviews, like we see for most movies. Another masterpiece, five stars. It's like Jordan Peele's. Us is the greatest masterpiece of all time. New horror master.
No film will top this.
No film will ever top this.
Movies.
Stop it.
Does it have the magic M in front of it?
No, it doesn't. Maybe just because it's Midsommar. But this is a weird movie because I don't know how, this is a jumbled review, but I don't know how to sell this movie to anyone.
Right.
Like, if you like folk horror movies and you like really artful horror, maybe you should check this out. But I think that the first half is more promising than the second half, because very much like Hereditary, the longer it kind of goes on, the less and less interesting it becomes. And then it pulls that card in the end where it's like this ending where you're just kind of like, really, this is what you're leaving me with? It just feels like such a cop-out.
Blue balls.
And it feels lazy.
Okay. So a lazy ending. Good start, lazy ending there for Midsommar. We mentioned earlier on the show something I want to leave you with before we wrap the show up this week. Thank you so much for being in the shot in the chat.
Sorry, that was like really a jumbled review.
Dude, it sounds like an exact depiction of the movie. Okay, so I just want to touch you. I mentioned Corbin Bernsen early in the show. A piece you might want to check out. What being the 4th of July weekend, and obviously baseball being a very big thing in America. Spoke to Corbin Bernsen for Forbes just last week to do with Major League 30th anniversary. It's just been released on Blu-ray, and had a little chat with him about I love Major League. Had a little chat with him about the possibility of a sequel. They did 2 sequels, didn't do very well, a bit awkward, but there is apparently a script for a 4th Major League movie. It's written by David S. Ward. His exact quote is, "There is a script for a 4th movie. David S. Ward has written it, but I have not seen the script. I can't imagine I would play hugely in it, but if I were going to do it, we'd need a reunion. You'd really want everybody to be there. Charlie, Sheen, Wesley, Snipes, Tom, Berenger, and I wouldn't be playing baseball, that's for sure, but I'd be interested to know what the characters are doing. To go back and explore the schematics of coming together as a team again would be great, but I think they'd need to put new characters in it. I think there is a validity to it." I would actually quite like to see a new Major League movie, but I'd like to see it on Netflix rather than at the box office. I think that would be the way to go forward. But Major League, another movie. Anybody?
If it was going to happen
Bueller.
the way you said so. I mean, I don't need one theatrically.
I don't need one theatrically either.
Oh my God, your enthusiasm sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
just I'm
over
thrilled.
And I like Corbin Bernsen a lot.
So do I. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. It's a great movie. Guys, thank you so much. We have run out of time. We're literally seconds away from the show ending. In the chat, I just want to give a heads up to Xavier Jones. I don't think I'd visit Sweden with my my black behind, regardless of whether I'd see Midsommar or not. Xavier Jones, I can't comment on that. Film nerd Jamie, if you want to see how messed up Ari Aster is, check out his short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. Well done, but genuinely unsettling. Xeno Hour, I thought Hereditary was overrated by critics. Xeno Hour, thank you, I agree. Ari Aster is a hell of a filmmaker. I also agree, but I don't know if I could watch 2.5 hours of this stuff. Xavier Jones, imagine if Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, and Ryan Murphy teamed up to do a film or a TV series. Oh,
The Twilight Zone Season 2.
I literally had exactly the same thought. And Xavier Jones, I agree. Critics really overrated Hereditary. It was not as good to me as all the hype. And Kami Egan.
Directing is great. That's what the problem is with that movie. The directing is fantastic, just like it is with Midsommar. It's terms of the script and just becoming too pretentious.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is. It's like, it's a film lover's movie, but it's also like the filmmaker making love to himself while he's directing the movie. It's really how I feel about it.
So there you
That's
go.
an image.
Yeah.
Anyway, happy. Oh, wow. Okay.
Midsommar 2.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a finale that would deliver. Okay, everybody. Oh, thank you so much. Dimitri, who are you? Where can we find you?
Right here on Meet the Movie Press. And you can find me on the Twitters at Demetri Panos.
Scott Menzel.
You can find me at WeLiveEntertainment.com. I was going to say Twitter and Instagram at The Other Scott M.
You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter. I also have a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson. If you like this show, please like, subscribe, retweet the link for the show. Spread the word. We really appreciate it. Also, feel free to follow us on Twitter at Meet Movie Press. And for those of you in Los Angeles, the Bigger Boat Film Quiz, We're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat, returns to Los Angeles on July 22nd, on 27th, sorry, Saturday, July 27th, the weekend after Comic-Con. Tickets are now available. It's at the 3 Clubs on Vine here in Los Angeles. Last time was a sell-out, so please get your tickets early. Thank you so much for watching the show. You have a great 4th of July weekend. And we're going to go now. Bye. Thank you for coming. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.